Well, that's the next thing I want to talk with you about because I've heard you say, and I looked it up, and it's true that if you just could deal with this wage gap and wealth gap, the racial wage and wealth gap, that not only that'd be good for Black folks, you would create an additional $1.5 trillion of GDP that we're
Right.
leaving money on the table, we're leaving genius on the table, we're leaving opportunity on the table. And when you got a country as small as ours, only 330 million people, got to compete against a billion people in China, a billion people in Africa, everybody in Europe, everybody in Latin America. You really want to get all the genius going,
You
plugged in.
have to.
You have to.
Yeah,
But
you have to liberate them. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
but so talk to me about you have this metaphor around the deserts because you got some solutions. I want to get to your solutions in terms of how we start dealing with some of this lack of access to capital. But paint the picture first in terms of these deserts of
Right.
opportunity that you see that you're using your genius to start to try to fix.
Yeah, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on what caused these deserts. You and I talk about that all the time.
Yes,
But
sir.
if you think about it, it's a systemic racism that has been pervasive throughout the United States really since its founding, that has created everything from food deserts to banking deserts to broadband deserts to healthcare deserts, and ultimately opportunity deserts that disproportionately affect the African American and now Latinx communities. Well, the opportunity set then is to think about how do you now, in the context of a global economy, enable the US citizenry to capture its greatest potential. And you have to educate, you have to train, and you have to engage. And it's hard to educate students if they don't have access today to broadband. It's hard to, or high quality food, or access to high quality healthcare. And those are the dynamics that enable countries and citizenry, as people know, as you improve the education and standards of living, the GDP goes up proportionally, right? Well, here we are as a country of, call it 340 million people, and to your point, competing against countries that are 5 times the size, that are making massive investments in the digitization of their entire ecosystems. And I look at, we just made a massive investment in India, in a company that has now digitized, basically the entire country. That entire country of 1.4 billion people now have access to 4G with software upgradable to 5G technology. So as they roll applications out and education systems out, they will educate 4 and 5 times the number of people that we actually have in this country, which means we have to pay more attention to enabling, educating, and actuating every citizen
Absolutely.
in America. And
Yeah.
we've got to do that through managing what I'll call re-fertilizing each of these deserts. You got to bring broadband back into these communities, capital in these communities through the banking systems, which now are the capillary banking systems, the CDFIs and MDIs, community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions. You've got to actually deliver healthcare in forms of telemedicine and ways to actually improve the quality and standard of life for all the citizens in these communities. And you frankly have to get rid of these food deserts that exist. You have to deliver high quality, low cost food into these communities so that you actually build up a sustainable infrastructure of people who view the opportunity in America as something that they can now go reach and access. So those are all the dynamics I've been focused on with a number of groups to figure out how do we solve some of these issues. And part of it is something we have to do, as you and I have been talking about, through the US government. Part of it, we have to do it through corporate leaders whose companies aren't servicing those communities, but are looking for workers out of those communities. So let's figure out efficient ways to do that. And that's part of what this 2% solution